There's two scriptures in the Bible that should be very fearful for people claiming to be Christians and people that say, no, I love the Lord, I worship the Lord, I serve the Lord. Because yesterday somebody gave me a very prophetic word, and it's confirmed that Jesus is actually very, very angry, very hurt by the church. And I'll tell you why. I can only imagine. You see, because Jesus has been rejected, being used. Seems like people only speak to Jesus when they want something. And you know what Jesus is after is pure love. People that really, truly love Him, that worship Him, that will spend time in His presence. And the sad thing is how many Christians, all right, people that go to church, people that sing, they've got the form of godliness, but there's no power in their life. Why? Because they treat Jesus like He's some kind of a genie, like they only come to Him when they need something. They only come to Him when times are tough, and now they want Jesus to rescue them out of their life. It says that you're not hot, you're not cold, you're lukewarm. And Jesus would prefer that you would be one or the other, so He would know what to do with you. But because He says they're lukewarm, He spits them out. And then the second one is Matthew 7:21-23. How it talks about how many people in that day are going to come to the Lord. And this is the day of judgment. And they're going to say, Lord, Lord, but didn't we prophesy in your name? Didn't we cast out devils? Didn't we do all these many mighty works in your name? And Jesus will declare to them, depart from me, I never knew you. You see, a lot of people are saying, no, they know Jesus. But how many people can say that Jesus knows them? That they hear from the Spirit of the Lord, that they are in prayer and worship every day, that they are reading the Bible. You see, just because you go to church, just because you're in the band, just because you preach, just because you have a ministry, it doesn't mean that Jesus recognizes you and knows you. You see, I will say this. If my son goes out there, all right, and let's put it this way, someone comes and knocks on my door and they say, I know your son, it means nothing to me. I want to know that my son knows them before I allow them into my house. And how many people, they think that they know the Lord Jesus, but does the Lord Jesus know you? That's the question. It's a very fearful thing to just imagine us to one day meet Jesus and you're like, I did all these works and I did this and I did that, and you had charity, but you never had your heart in it. You were doing it to be recognized. You were those Pharisees that was just praying, getting attention, just on social media. And you were talking about things of the gospel, but it was just really because you had a selfish ministry, or because you were your own idol, or because ministry became an idol. I see a lot of people like that. I see a lot where it's literally just all about themselves, and they're using the Lord to advance in something. And then they only talk to the Lord once they're in trouble. Then they start asking the Lord, oh Lord, please, I'm sorry. And then you know what? The Lord heals them. The Lord forgives them. But then they just go cold and they just go back and do their thing, and they just reject the Lord, and they reject the law, and they don't do anything that the Lord is telling them to do. So I'm going to tell you today, dear brother and sister, catch your wake up. It is your salvation. The Bible does say, let each person work out their salvation with fear and trembling. Jesus ain't coming back for a lukewarm bride, a bride that is stuck in the world. You see, James 4:4, it says very clearly, God, it basically says, anyone who's friends with the world is in enmity with God. And how many people are into celebrity worship in the church? They worship the celebrity pastors, the celebrity prophets. They worship all of that, but they don't worship the Lord. They don't love the Lord. Their hearts are far from Him. So they have a form of godliness, but no power in their life. They can't do anything for the Lord. So they just in church attendance, or they just wear the name, but they don't honor the name. And I wanted to say, guys, it is time for you to realize when you hear a message like this. And then when I spoke about this message last night at the gym, a lady said to me, but the Lord Jesus woke her up and told her the same thing as well. So I want to say to you, if Jesus is talking to His true children, then you need to start catching a wake up, and you need to start listening. And I dare you, and I encourage you to share this message with people so that they can catch a wake up call, because it's not my life we're talking about, guys. It's your life too. It's your life, it's your friend's life. So the thing is, if you don't truly love the Lord and you don't spend time with the Lord, then ask yourself, when you're praying all these prayers, is God listening to you? Are your prayers actually even being answered? Ask yourself, would you do something for someone that you didn't know, and someone that disobeyed you, but now they're asking you for favors? Would you do anything for them? Just sometimes be logical and think, would you do constant favors for someone who didn't love you, who only wanted to use you, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't marry someone who didn't love you. So why should Jesus do something for you? Why should Jesus invite you into heaven and say, oh, well done, good and faithful servant, when you've done nothing for him? So you see, stop asking yourself, what can you get from God? And ask yourself, what can I give God? Have that attitude going forward and watch what the Lord will do for you. Isn't it a nice thing to think that you and God can be so close, that the Lord can just love you and pour out to you, and God can give you more responsibility, and God can help you to win souls, and God will answer your prayers? So think about that, guys. And I hope that you will catch a wake up, as even I have to catch a wake up sometimes, and share this with people. Wake them up, because a lot of people, their eternity, their salvation is at stake.